if in a job interview situation they ask, have you ever had any disagreement with your boss, how to handle this answer, what to say. So of course there is no one correct answer, but I guide you how to think about this question. So you have to know the company, their management style before you answer this question. Because if, let's say, the management is something that they want people who are very obedient, just follow the rules, don't argue, don't say anything, just do your job, don't make any troubles, then probably you have to answer differently than in a situation when they encourage contribution. They want you to give your feedback. They are really want to listen, not just pretending, but they really want to know. They want improvement. They even intensify contribution and new suggestion and improvement. Then of course you have to answer differently. So of course if you are kind of very person who likes to give feedback a lot of times and the company doesn't like feedback, then probably it's a not good match. But be very sensitive of this, that what is the culture of the company, and especially the managers that interview you or the HR people who interview you. So be aware, if it's a very conservative, old-fashioned, traditional company that they don't want to listen new ideas, then be very careful what you say to this question. So, but let's say in a middle situation when they really want to know whether you contribute and with feedback or not, so how to handle this question. So yes, say that so give examples when you had a disagreement with your boss and explain the process, what happened. Even if the outcome is that you were wrong, because it makes you more trustworthy. Then let's say that we have an argument, I gave a lot of good reasons to the boss and he didn't listen to me, and finally he was right or she was right. And then I realized that, hey, I didn't have enough information. People who are at a higher position, usually they have more information, they have more complex thinking, and my problem was that I look at it in a very narrow perspective with very few information, very little information, and then I could not really give a good advice. I argued and I was wrong. So if you give an example for this one, it means that you are human, you made a mistake, you tried your best and you learned your lesson. So this can be a good example for this. But you also should have some examples when you were right. So try to find an example that the boss told you to do this, something, but you then warn that, hey, if we do this, then we have to apply for a special license, the government, or have to fill out this form, or have to get some extra things, and the boss argued, no, we don't need this, I know that. And then later, let's say the company had a trouble and some government department punished the company because they didn't follow, and then in this case you were right and the boss was too arrogant or ignorant and didn't listen to you. Your example should be very specific, and your listeners in the interview should understand really that what's going on, and it can be a very good example that even people at lower posts can contribute something to them. And in this question, they're always looking at that how quickly you give up, because maybe a manager like a style that you come up with an idea, they say no, it's not good, it's not true, we don't do this. So do they expect you to give up and don't bother them? They already told you that's no. Or do they want somebody who really believes in something and pushing, and even if it's irritates the manager at this moment, but later they will be thankful and grateful that you pushed them. It is also comes to communication style that so don't just say that did you have a disagreement with your boss, but explain how you approach. So for example, you can talk about that I collected a lot of data that supports my argument, and I give a one-page report about this to my boss. So in this case, it's not just talking and get rejected and giving up, but after the first trial, the oral rejection, you went and spent a lot of time to collect information and organize the information in a persuasive method way, and then you can present this information to the boss, and it means that you put a lot of effort, and if it persuaded the boss, it is very powerful. So it is not about that you feel bad about that when the boss rejects your argument, so you don't take it very personally. What they want to know in the interview is a lot of characteristic, personality. Do you give up too early, or you are too stubborn, or do you make extra effort to help the company if you really believe it's helpful? What communication method do you use? How persistent you are, and whether you do it in a polite way, a nice way that doesn't make the other person bad, or even if, let's say, that later the boss agrees that you were right, I'm wrong, don't say that, you see, you should increase my salary because without me you are nobody. So don't get too cocky, too arrogant about this, and even if you win, don't rub this under the nose of the boss, because nobody likes this. But usually managers like people to help them to prevent mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes, so managers make wrong decisions, and you can bring up a new perspective, a new piece of information, new data, then you can help the boss to avoid a problem. And of course, not just everybody can be very short-sighted and they don't want to listen to you, but this is when it comes whether you can push in a soft, gentle way that doesn't make the other person hate you, doesn't ruin the relationship, but finally they accept what you said, because you don't bother them, you do the job separately, you spend maybe 5-10 hours to create an evidence and in a good format, and then present this information so the boss can spend only 5 minutes and then maybe understands that you are right. Okay, so be always aware why they ask this question, what is the culture of the company, and what you are saying about yourself and how you care about the relationship, how much you want to give help to the company, how easily you give up, or how persistent you are.